Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mount Sinai Pitch Challenge 2023. My name is Juan Quijano. I'm Manager of Education and Entrepreneurship at MSIP, and I'm going to be the host today. If you have any questions about this event or any of our programs and opportunities at MSIP, please reach out using this email address, and I will be happy to connect with you. For those that don't know about MSIP, we are the commercialization arm of the Mount Sinai Health System, and our mission is to ensure that the Mount Sinai discoveries and innovations are translated into real-world solutions that can benefit patients and society. Please visit our website to learn more about our programs and activities regarding innovation, entrepreneurship, and commercialization of healthcare technologies. I also want to invite you to subscribe to our newsletter to stay up to date with the opportunities that we have and that are constantly improving. As a reminder, the Mount Sinai Pitch Challenge is an annual event and the conclusion to our educational entrepreneurship program, where teams learn how to translate their ideas into solutions and take them from the bench to the market, where they can benefit patients. Today, only the best 5 teams from our entrepreneurship program will be pitching their solutions. We have a diverse group of technologies being presented, including software, therapeutics, digital, and devices. Today, they will compete for cash prizes that will help them continue to develop their technologies. We have a strong panel of judges, investors with broad expertise that will help us select the winners. Without further ado, I want to introduce our judges, and then we will give them a couple of minutes to introduce themselves as well. Nidhi Chadha, CEO and founder at Enzo Advisors. Maxim Owen, partner at Webmaker 360 Health. Alexis Aiello, Senior Director at Tempus Labs, and Jake Prigoff, partner at Gangels. Welcome and thank you for your participation in the Mount Sinai Pitch Challenge 2023.
Nice to meet everyone. My name is Nidhi Chadha. I'm the founder and CEO of Enzo Advisors. I founded Enzo as a boutique sustainability consulting firm several years ago, focused on corporates and institutional investors. My foray into ESG sustainability as well as impact really started out from my investment work. I've been on Wall Street for 20 plus years and spent the last 10 in investment management, both in public and private markets. And in the private side, I'm very actively involved with multiple angel groups and associations, and also a sector lead for the Harvard Business School Alumni Angels, work on various investment screening committees for other associations as well. So continue to stay active there, but day job is essentially focusing on ESG and impact. So very excited to be here and learn more about everyone's businesses.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maxim. I'm a partner at Wavemaker 360 Health. We are a seed stage venture fund, 100% focused on healthcare technology. We'll consider anything pretty much across software, tech-enabled services, and medical devices. We tend to leave life science and biotechnology to the other side, to our much smarter colleagues, but we have dabbled. We have raised all of our funds from healthcare strategics. So our model is investing in early stage companies, primarily at the seed stage, and helping to accelerate their commercial developments by connecting them into our investor network. I've been investing my entire career, spent the first half in public markets, and I've spent the second half in private markets, specifically in early stage healthcare technology.
Hi, everybody. I am Alexis Aiello, and I'm currently a senior director at Tempus Labs in the Artificial Intelligence division. Before that, I was an operating partner in a healthcare venture studio called OV Studios, where I help founders go from ideation to launch for their companies. But overall, I have over 11 years of experience helping large hospital systems as well as healthcare tech companies optimize their operations in order to enhance performance and profitability.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jake Prigoff. I am a partner at Gangels. We're a DEI-focused venture firm, stage agnostic, industry agnostic. My background is very much in the healthcare space. I got started in cancer research, eventually went to medical school at Sinai, so it's wonderful to virtually be back. Did my residency at Columbia in general surgery, developed a couple devices along the way. And about 2 years ago, I transitioned away from clinical medicine and came over to the dark side of venture capital. Been here for about 2 years. Thanks for having me.
My name is
Okay.
Mary Casper George. I'm a health psychologist, and I've worked in research in chronic pain for over 2 decades. And today I want to talk to you about virtual reality self-hypnosis for chronic pain. Because chronic pain is a global problem. Approximately 1.5 billion people in the world suffer with chronic pain. In the United States, about 30% of people suffer with chronic pain, costing somewhere between $550 billion to $635 billion each year. And the population we want to focus on are the ones that we have expertise in, which is people with HIV. People with HIV have a very challenging chronic pain condition. They suffer from multiple pains, but primarily neuropathic pain, which is a stabbing, burning, very troublesome, somewhat like the picture I have here. It feels like someone is stabbing them with heat and electrical shock pain in their feet and their hands, coupled with musculoskeletal pain, which is a dull, aching, throbbing pain that they suffer with. Approximately 85% of all people with HIV are challenged with chronic pain. There are no FDA-approved pain medicines. The pharmaceutical is just keeping their hands off of the HIV population because they're difficult to find solutions for, because patients are subjective in their pain report. The available medications that are out there, they cause side effects, and there's a mental health condition issue in HIV, so there's a high risk of opioid misuse. Hypnotherapists cost money. They typically don't take insurance, and pain management can be very difficult to access for people with HIV. So our solution is a virtual reality self-hypnosis tool. We know self-hypnosis is a proven treatment. We've seen it work in cancer, fibromyalgia, neuropathic pain, MS. A VR tool will make self-hypnosis accessible. It will empower patients. It will give them self-agency, and it has limited side effects. It's safe to combine with pain medications, very cost-effective, and the patient can use it frequently and safely. Our product is a software inserted into an off-the-shelf VR device. We're seeking FDA approval of the software. It's virtual reality immersive experience that includes narration, images, and sound. It's a brief interaction, no more than 10 minutes. Our goal is to demonstrate that this software is equivalent to an earlier study we did in HIV, where we showed we had 72% reduction of pain, and that the mean improvement of those patients was 44%, which is much higher when we're doing drug studies in pain. We're pending an FDA review for an exemption for this study, and we've requested a Q submission with the FDA in the early part of the summer. So how are we going to validate this? Well, currently we have a feasibility study that is being looked at by the FDA right now for an exemption status. Our IRB has reviewed it, and it's pending a review and approval because we need this FDA exemption. We want to take the AI process and refine the software after we have our data in hand, using it for analyses and data assessments to refine it. Perhaps maybe midway, we'll see. We want to enroll 30 participants who will use the software in the device for 28 days. Our ultimate outcome is an FDA approval followed by an insurance approval. So what is our market? Well, people in the United States would be our first market, followed by the European Union. But worldwide, there are 21 million people who suffer with HIV. We would target US and European, move to South Africa, India, and East Asia, which gives us a total addressable market of about 31.4 million. The price point would be $250 per device, so that gives us a 3.35 billion potential for total addressable market. A SAM of 35% of that would be 1.725 billion. A serviceable attainable market, which would be our initial rollout with European and the United States, would be approximately 836 million. And because of the nature of the HIV populations, we do believe we will have early adapters. HIV is known for its grassroots and its activism, and we would see that as $503 million. Our business model, once we perform the feasibility study, is to use this data to look for a licensing deal with a collaborator. This would allow us to launch larger studies in 24 and 25 to demonstrate the efficacy of this with FDA guidance. Our goal is to prescribe this by physicians and have it covered by insurance. And perhaps it could be something shipped to the patient, or if the patient has a VR tool already, to download it. The price point would replicate the current VR market and approximately about $250 a device. We would then, once we have a good status, we'd seek to get other approvals in other chronic pain conditions. So who is our competition? Our primary competition is Allied VR. They currently have a VR device for low back pain, but it's in combination with CBT. So I don't think it's that easy to use. I'm not certain. Our team is have deep experience in HIV and chronic pain. And we feel like giving a patient a one and done device would be self-empowering. And then having it covered by insurance, which Allied has paved the way. They have got the coverage for theirs in March of 2023 for Medicare. The development pipeline is very straightforward. We need 100K to run our feasibility study. We're targeting that in summer of 2023. We think we'd have our data by the second quarter of 2024. We would seek to launch our placebo-controlled study with FDA guidance in the latter part of 2024. We would then submit this data, design another second confirmatory study, and potentially move forward for an FDA approval in late 2026. Our capital right now is to seek $100,000 to run our feasibility study. We have put out 2 grant foundations submissions, and we also have submitted internally to Sinai. We are in determining what our FDA pathway would be with the Q submission review. In parallel, we would really look forward to collaborating with outside companies, or the potential to submit to the NIH HEAL Pain Initiative, where I am a co-investigator for the current early phase pain investigational clinical network. That's a mouthful. Our future goal is a licensing agreement with a collaborator who has the financial capacity to run FDA studies. We think we can anchor ourselves in the HIV population in the US and European Union, and then move into other countries in parallel to seek further regulatory approvals for other chronic pain conditions. Our leadership is myself. I've been working in HIV and pain for the past 20 to 30 years. Dr. Montgomery, he's been known for his work in hypnosis and cancer pain. Dr. Dorfman is the PI of our past HIV and neuropathic pain study with hypnosis. And Dr. Robinson Papp, who is the neurologist with our HIV patient population and pain management. We are partnering with Arcanium engineers. They are coders with PhDs in neuroscience, but they're making their money in the gaming industry. We have a statement of work with them, and they're currently under review by our cybersecurity team. So in summary, chronic pain costs billions of dollars. It reduces quality of life for people with HIV worldwide. Our VR self-hypnosis tool can be prescribed by a provider once we have it approved by FDA, covered by insurance, and then used by patients freely. We're leaders in the field of self-hypnosis and chronic pain. We need $100,000 to launch our feasibility study, and we're sitting on a pending approval from our ethics and FDA to launch it. Please join me in making pain relief achievable, first for people with HIV, followed by others who suffer so intensely with chronic pain. Thank you. My name is Mary Catherine, and I'll take whatever questions you have.
And good afternoon, everyone. I'm really thankful to be able to present to you what we believe could open therapeutic opportunities and even cure for cancer patients that are in lack in this moment. And this is a very particular moment in time in which we should be all aware of how cancer is progressing, because despite of the recent advances in both therapeutics and diagnosis, cancer is still the leading cause of death worldwide. The recent World Health Organization report about how the forecast of cancer is going to present in the near years is something totally discouraging. If we consider that in less than 1 decade, we are going to see not only a huge increase in the number of new cases among the population, but what is more detrimental or more sad about is like we are going to see also an increase in the number of cases among the population of oncological patients. Definitely this latest report considers the patient demographic changes that are going to be occurring during the next decades, and also the fact that we are going to have better diagnosis or to find the cancer before. But what really highlight is the prevalence of the disease, because we have a complete lack of targeted therapeutic opportunities that are efficient and can control those numbers of deaths per year. As today, breakthrough technologies as immunotherapy, CAR T cells, and cancer vaccine are opening the possibilities to novel approaches for cancer. However, the majority of them has to be redefined and refined back in the bench due to the high toxicity and limited efficacy to some of the treatments that they are designed for. And obviously, the major concern on top of the efficacy is the economical burden that this kind of treatments could inflict in an oncological patient. So once more than ever, we are in need of targeted, effective, and affordable cancer therapies in order to buffer out what is the main cause of death worldwide. In that sense, our solution of in situ APMB cancer vaccines pretend or aim to be a solution, an off-the-shelf solution, effective, targetable, and affordable for many oncological patients through the administration of APMBs in the tumor site. The own patient immune system is going to be able to develop a vaccine for its own tumor without the need of previous identification of neoantigens or previous personalization of the therapy. And the responses that we obtain with this kind of therapy, at least in preclinical, not only completely eliminate the disease, but induce an anti-tumor response that is protective, long-lasting. Our technologies are based in the use of oncolytic viruses. In particular, today I'm going to be talking about avian paramyxoviruses. These viruses, specifically Newcastle disease virus, has been already is one of the most known oncolytic virus and is being explored widely in both preclinical and clinical models. But more importantly, we recently have unveiled and discovered a new avian paramyxovirus that has enhanced anti-tumor activity than the NTV. What we have obviously incorporated in our portfolio, and we are working with them to expand our therapeutic possibilities. These family of viruses are non-human viruses, are non-human pathogens, that there is no human-to-human spread, and there is no persistent immunity to them. And this is very important if we compare our platform with other platforms that are trying to be applied to the same kind of solutions. As an advantage, once we apply our APMBs in the tumor site, the virus is going to be able not only to eliminate cancer cells, but provide a modified tumor microenvironment, modified immunology of the tumor for the anti-tumor response to be able to identify, target, and destroy the cancer and the tumor, also providing an abscopal or systemic effect in which just targeting one of the lesions, we can see protection, systemic protection and elimination of tumors in different sites of the different sites of the patient, in my case, in the animal model. This is real, and we've been published. These are the most recently publications in which we have developed solutions for B lymphoma, colon carcinoma, and melanoma, with many of the different of the viral platforms that we are interested in. In all the three cases, we are talking about very high prevalent cancers, and we are able not only to completely eliminate the tumor on the site, but also protect our experimental animals against rechallenge with the same tumor, or to protect them against metastasis in the case of second regrowth of the tumor in the system. There are other viral platforms that are being explored. We are not the only ones. We believe that ours are more prone to success in the clinic, and these are the three main components why we believe that. First of all, APMBs possess a broad applicability. We've been testing different kinds of cancers, all of them susceptible to the effect of our viruses. When we move into preclinical models, again, the in situ administration of the virus eliminate completely the tumor on the site and exert durable responses. That means that not only as a monotherapy, but in combination with checkpoint inhibitors, we can assess a large amount of different cancers and give an opportunity for therapeutic response. The second major important characteristic is the design flexibility. We have in-house the reverse genetic systems in order to be able to modify genetically these viral platforms to accommodate therapeutic payloads that could be or not necessary, depends on the cancer that we are trying to assess, in order to modify further components of the tumor, like it could be the tumor microenvironment, the recruitment of immune cells into the situ to create this vaccine. We can furthermore modify and implement our platform. And the third of all, obviously important in terms of production and commercialization, but really important for us, the fact that our viruses will be produced in a very efficient cost production, with 3 doses coming to less than $10. And all of this is obviously informed in our intellectual properties that Mount Sinai is proprietary. In terms of the market,
5 minutes, Sarah.
Yeah. In terms of the market, we will be competing with other solutions for cancer patients. The market is around 196 billion with a TAM of 30 million. We will be able to be competitive in a sum of 9 million cancer patients that are related to the solutions that we are trying to create. Sum of 6.6 million people that will give a revenue of 11 million, and evangelicals that we have estimated that will be 3.3 million patients. Definitely we have competition, and this competition marks other kind of solutions in the therapy, but we believe that with our actual characteristics, that we have a full spectrum efficacy, no toxicity, no need for the patient to be prepared or have to undergo different studies. And the price put us in a very competitive place regarding to other solutions. Virotherapy is also in the rise. It's estimated that in less than 10 years, we are going to see a 33% of investment in these kind of solutions. And our plan is try to license our IPs, possibly through a research collaboration agreement, because our ultimate goal is to put these solutions in the clinic, in the patient. Our development pipeline includes solutions for colorectal, melanoma, lymphoma, glioblastoma, lung, and breast cancer, and we are in different stages. The most important part for us now is raise money to do humanized mouse models that are models that could give us more insight about how the response is going to be in the patient. And regarding to the team, we are a team, an academic team that is with a huge and large expertise, not only in oncolytic viruses, but also in vaccine development, vector development, cancer biology, that our expertise is expanded also to the one that we receive from our collaborators. We are really, really working towards putting solutions in the clinic, and that has to be through teaming up with other experts. So I hope in this very little amount of time, I've been able to convince you that we have in our hands something that could represent an alternative and a solution, a therapeutic solution for many cancer patients. And I'm happy to take any questions from you. Thank you.
Today, we are going to be introducing EndoCare, a clinical decision support system that can revolutionize the process of diagnosing endometriosis. We're going to begin by telling you about Hannah, a patient with endometriosis who shared her story publicly. For 15 years, Hannah suffered from debilitating pelvic pain, dependent on a cocktail of hormones and nerve blockers to get through each day. Unfortunately, Hannah's case is not unique, and many patients with endometriosis have to endure years of physical and emotional suffering before getting a proper diagnosis and treatment. So endometriosis is a chronic disease where endometrial-like tissue, which is the type of tissue that lines the inside of the uterus, implants outside the uterus. As highlighted in Hannah's story, endometriosis can significantly affect quality of life, resulting in chronic pain and infertility. And studies show that 40% of women who experience infertility have endometriosis. 1 in 10 women of reproductive age in the United States are affected by endometriosis. And on average, it takes 10 years for women to get a diagnosis. So the delay in receiving a diagnosis can be attributed to several factors. First, endometriosis can have many clinical manifestations. So many PCPs or gynecologists may misattribute the symptoms of endometriosis for another disease and fail to order further testing or refer patients to a specialist. If providers do suspect endometriosis, patients may be scheduled for an MRI. However, early stage endometriosis is very difficult to detect via MRI, so many cases are missed. And this is particularly an issue in smaller clinics that don't have radiologists with experience identifying endometriosis lesions. Because of the missed symptoms and the difficult detection through MRI, it takes years for patients to get in to see a specialist. Finally, patients must undergo laparoscopic surgery to confirm their diagnosis, which is an invasive and costly procedure. Detection of endometriosis at its earlier stage is imperative, as this would help patients get treatment sooner, therefore decreasing disease progression, comorbidities, and healthcare costs, which brings us to our solution.
EndoCare system uses a two-pronged approach designed for healthcare systems to allow physicians to provide accurate diagnoses faster. The patient screening tool is learned from a diverse population, leveraging data from a large multi-hospital health system. The algorithm is then learn on the patient data to identify health indicators and risk factors, aiding in the screening of signs of early stage endometriosis, thereby providing a screening tool for PCPs and OBGYNs. The second tool provides early stage endometriosis detection by using deep learning on MRI images, which provides radiologists a score of potential endometriosis. The algorithm is trained and validated using 10 years of high quality patient data from a large health network. These methods in combination provide a CDS system developed in collaboration with healthcare operations professionals to provide specialists more in-depth analysis of the patient's condition, thereby enabling faster detection with enhanced accuracy via non-invasive and cost-effective clinical decision support tool for disease detection. The endometriosis diagnostic market features various players with unique approaches, primarily focused on late-stage diagnosis using pharmacological interventions such as biomarkers, in vitro diagnostic tests, and blood tests for biomarker expression. Tactile, a direct competitor, emphasizes late-stage endometriosis, whereas our comprehensive approach targets early-stage endometriosis detection, broadening our market reach. The potential for insurance coverage also increases accessibility and affordability, positioning EndoCare as a key player in the women's health market. EndoCare stands out from the competition by being a CDSS that integrates AI-driven screening as well as screening analysis for early-stage endometriosis detection designed for healthcare systems and clinics. EndoCare's innovative system targets the expanding women's healthcare market by targeting over 9,600 hospitals and clinics, 18,000 imaging centers across the US. We foresee a total addressable market of over $1.2 billion. Our pricing model positions us to capture a serviceable obtainable market of over 85 million.
So our business model prioritizes accessibility and affordability through tiered pricing, tailored for healthcare providers of varying sizes. Our comprehensive approach caters to standalone clinics, imaging centers, and integrated health networks, fostering a substantial customer base. Our annual subscription fee includes software updates, technical support, user training, and integration assistance, ensuring seamless adoption and exceptional value. So embarking on a 3-year journey, EndoCare starts with thorough market research and team building, crafting a compelling value proposition. Advancing through prototype development, MVP creation, and refinement, we secure regulatory approval and clinical validation. Our swift product launch aims to revolutionize endometriosis detection and care in a fast-paced, competitive landscape. So our total budget is $1.3 million. We have secured $6,500 from Thrive Fellowship, regional ICOPs, and by winning the MSIP Innovation Showcase. We are pursuing another $100,000 from competitions and grants, and around $1.2 million from SBIR Phase 1 and Phase 2. EndoCare diligently allocates its budgets to crucial areas, including market research, MVP creation, regulatory approval, and legal fees, ensuring efficient resource management for a successful product development journey. With EndoCare, our exit strategy valuations are promising. In 5 to 6 years, we are targeting a $44 million acquisition by Advanced Tactile Imaging. In 7 to 8 years, a $110 million merger with EndoDiag, giving us access to European market. And if we go public, we expect a market capitalization of $374 million in 10 to 12 years. These projections are based on a solid 35% growth rate, a 30% profit margin, and a PE ratio of 20, making EndoCare a compelling investment opportunity.
Now, it's our pleasure to highlight EndoCare's talented, dedicated, and dynamic group of advisors and our entrepreneurial team. We bring together a diverse range of experiences and expertise, which enables us to effectively develop and launch our innovative technology. So it's clear that the consequences of delaying diagnosis and treatment for endometriosis are devastating, and EndoCare's AI-powered CDS system has the ability to revolutionize early-stage endometriosis detection. Our product creates a streamlined approach to make the process of getting a diagnosis of endometriosis both faster and more accurate. In doing so, we enable providers to treat patients earlier in their disease processes, yielding better outcomes. So thank you all for your time. And before we end, we just want to show a brief prototype demo of our technology.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to set up the scene for this demo. This would be an app within an EHR such as Epic or hosted within a hospital network infrastructure. There are 3 users for this app: a PCP for interaction with the screening tool, the survey-based questionnaire, a radiologist for interaction with the images, and then a specialist for interaction with both of those data entities. So in this context, we presume that a patient has reached out to their PCP or OBGYN with concerns. And so the PCP will have sent them the questionnaire. They'll be able to log in and see the results of the questionnaire. They'll be able to use an algorithm that was trained on free text data and survey data to basically get an assessment of whether or not they should be referred to a specialist. Following that, they can order an MRI, and now we're switching over to the radiologist perspective. The radiologist could log into the EndoCare app, view the images for the patient, and use a computer vision algorithm to predict where the algorithm thinks an endometriosis lesion is. It could output a score and a risk factor for endometriosis. Since the radiologist is the expert, it can adjust the labels and add additional labels for fine-tuning of the model further on and for future patients that the model could predict on. Following this, the specialist could log in and view all of this data and the results of all this data in one space and be able to better assess what to do with the patient next. So they could also see the results of the prediction on the MRI images. They could adjust the labels as well if they're specialized in that area for further training. And they can also review the results of the screener tool and see how they arrived, how the patient arrived to actually see them, and ultimately decide on what to do with the patient next. And that's all.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sujay, and I'm a medical student at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Along with my teammates, Bahi and Federica, we present our company, Spinova. We have developed CordGuard, a medical device designed to mitigate spinal cord compression following cervical laminectomy procedures. When shadowing our mentor, Dr. Tanvir Chowdhury, we discussed that many of his patients experience neck pain, but this is a problem nationwide. In the United States alone, over 8.1 million people experience spinal cord compression in the neck or cervical region. In addition, 90% of Americans over the age of 60 have evidence of spinal cord narrowing. The medical condition that causes this neck pain is called cervical spondylitic myelopathy, or CSM, and it's more than just a pain in the neck. CSM is the spinal cord compression due to age-related degeneration. In this scan, we can see that the bony part of the vertebral disc is compressing the spinal cord, and this causes spinal stenosis or narrowing. These patients suffer from intense neck pain and stiffness, motor and balance issues, and bladder and bowel dysfunction, all of which greatly decrease quality of life. If left untreated, CSM can cause permanent nerve damage, and in severe cases, paralysis and death. The current gold standard treatment for CSM is PCDF, which stands for posterior cervical decompression and fusion. On this slide, we can see a cervical spine before this operation, and to its right, we can see the cervical spine after PCDF. In PCDF, surgeons essentially remove a portion of the cervical disc and then fuse different vertebral levels together with pedicle screws and rods on both sides. This procedure occurs 35,000 times annually in the US and costs $40,000 per surgery. Unfortunately, a quarter of patients get symptoms again after PCDF. This occurs because soft tissue, muscle, and surrounding fluid can build up approximately a year after the procedure, causing pain. In addition, the open spinal cord, which is represented in red on this slide, is left vulnerable after PCDF. Any sort of force or blunt trauma could cause worse symptoms than what the patient was experiencing before they got this operation. Not only are these procedures ineffectively treating patients, but revision surgeries are dangerous to patients and expensive for hospitals. Because patients experience recurrent symptoms 25% of the time after PCDF, this results in an additional $14,000 per surgery. Hospitals also have to account for an extended length of stay 21% of the time. And with up to 9,000 reoperations a year, this takes a big toll on hospital systems, surgeons, as well as patients. After realizing this unmet clinical need, we started to think about how to prevent spinal cord compression in patients undergoing PCDF procedures. And at the same time, how do we enhance safety, recovery, and patient satisfaction?
And that's where our device comes in, shielding the way to safer, more effective recoveries for patients. So Cord Guard on the right, which is hidden for IP purposes, is a novel device designed specifically for neurosurgeons to prevent spinal cord compression after PCDF procedures, which would ultimately reduce post-operative symptoms and risk of trauma. Additionally, our device would recapitulate normal spinal anatomy. Using this design, we conducted a preliminary validation study in Autodesk Fusion 360, which is a computer software that simulates the application of forces on 3D objects. We concluded from this that our device could potentially reduce the risk of spinal cord injury, so we decided to move forward with the prototyping stages. So this allowed us to get over 40 key opinion leaders to weigh in on our device Cord Guard. In our first interview, we met with Dr. Chowdhury, who said that this is a very common and underappreciated problem, and up to 20% of patients experience symptom recurrence after the procedure. We also met with the CEO of BK Meditech, Brandon Davis, who said that physicians have been looking to solve this issue for over 10 years. World-renowned surgeon Dr. Wang from Miami said that negative sequelae of surgical interventions and patient fears of recovery and reoperations are the existential threats to spine surgery. Besides neurosurgeons, we met with value analysis committees and the chief of quality at the University of Rochester, who said that surgeons could not just bypass value analysis committees and directly purchase our device because of its low cost. It also could help ensure patient safety, as well as the reputation of these big institutions because of its patient-centered design and goals. We're now targeting the spine market's untapped potential. We first met with BK Meditech, a company that's willing to add our device to their existing cervical fusion set to directly deliver it to surgeons in the operating room. And then we conducted a reimbursement analysis on our device, which would cost around $150, to conclude that it would be reimbursed at a rate of $1,500 per device, giving us a 90% margin. We also identified the CPT codes that would be used for billing our device in today's reimbursement system. So taking these analyses, we estimated a serviceable, obtainable market of $55 million based on the number of cervical procedures in the US alone, and expanding our application to cover not just the neck region, but the entire spinal column and more than 500,000 procedures in the US, our serviceable available market would be around $750 million. And finally, taking this a step further to expand to over 1.6 million patients globally, our TAM, or total addressable market, would be estimated around $2.4 billion. So what sets us apart? It's our unmatched value propositions. Cord Guard provides both spine stability and cord security, which no other device on the market could, whether a direct competitor like a crosslink or a fixation device, or even indirect therapies like physical therapy and nerve stimulators. We also provide simple placement, as our device is compatible with all fusion systems on the market today. In addition, Cord Guard allows for anatomical mimicry, which continues to separate the left and right compartments of patients' posterior anatomies. And we also don't require major steps from surgeons to place our device in patients, adding minimal risk to the procedure.
So we looked at the existing IP landscape in the US, Asia, and Europe, and found several related patents demonstrated on this slide. These were a mesh, a crosslink, and a fixation device, but as we described on the previous slide, Cord Guard's value proposition extends beyond any one of these devices. So there's a space with an unmet need in which we can innovate, and we're pursuing patents in the US and globally. We also met with regulatory pathway experts and determined that there are substantially equivalent predicates, specifically the crosslinks we've spoken about a few times from Medtronic and Depuis. And because of this, and because our device is of class 2 risk, we're planning to pursue 510(k) clearance, which would be a faster pathway to market in the US under FDA regulations. And here's a summary of our development timeline. As of January of this year, we've spoken with over 40 patients, surgeons, biotech representatives, and hospital value analysis committees in the country as part of the regional I-Corps program. At present, we've completed early stage design and prototyping with funding from the Thrive Fellowship at Mount Sinai Biodesign. And by May of next year, we plan to have developed our minimum viable product and to have completed primary validation studies. We're also in the midst of applying for national I-Corps. By 2025, we plan to have completed a second validation study as well as our FDA Q submission. And after this point, we're considering a possible exit strategy through which we'd license our product to any of the companies that are actively producing crosslinks like Depuy, Medtronic, or BK Meditech, with whom we've already spoken about a licensing opportunity. We, by 2026, hope to define a business model and form an LLC. By 2027, we'll have a market-ready product, and at that point, apply for 510(k) FDA clearance. And by 2028 and 2029, we will have completed strategic agreements and a product pilot study with our first customer, Mount Sinai. And our path to an MVP starts today with the MSIP Pitch Challenge. If we happen to win this competition, we'd use the 25K to create our first proof of concept and to cover the prototyping costs as we move toward our minimum viable product. And here's a summary of our financials to date. So far, we completed the regional I-Corps, and we used the $1,000 from that to attend conferences and complete interviews. We've additionally participated in the Thrive Fellowship, and we placed second in the MSIP Innovation Showcase, and we've used the funding from that for our early stage prototyping. Of course, today we're pitching for the MSIP Pitch Challenge, and we've also completed applications for i3 Prism and i3 Genesis, and we're applying for the National I-Corps, and that funding would go toward our first validation study, our 510(k) clearance application, and legal fees for the licensing and for the patent application. And this is our wonderful team. We come from a whole bunch of different backgrounds, including neurosurgery, biomedical engineering, math, biology, chemistry, regulatory science, and business and marketing. It's been really nice working with everybody on this product. So to summarize, CordGuard addresses a clear unmet clinical need backed by over 40 professionals in the field. CordGuard also fits within a large market with many use cases, and in consulting with regulatory pathway experts, there's a direct pathway forward for regulatory approval. Moreover, there will be a tangible return on investment that benefits all stakeholders, ranging from patients to surgeons and the hospitals in which they work. And thank you so much for your time. We're happy to answer any questions.
Hi, I'm Pete. I'm here with Jake, Yash, and Alex, and we're SpineSight, and we provide spinal insights in seconds to improve treatment for spinal disease patients. So meet Cindy. She's an active mother of 3, and over the last month, she's been having difficulty buttoning her shirt, feels wobbly when she's walking around, and has had minor neck pain. Unbeknownst to her, she's experiencing the early symptoms of cervical myelopathy. So cervical myelopathy is a serious condition where the spinal cord is compressed in the cervical or neck region, causing a wide range of neurological deficits. Early on, patients may experience numbness and tingling in their extremities, loss of coordination, and loss of balance. However, these early, relatively minor deficits progress at widely varying rates in different people. And currently, there's no way to predict the rate of disease progression. Ultimately, advanced disease can lead to falls, wheelchair dependence, and even paralysis. This progression is irreversible and permanent, and only surgery will halt it. If Cindy is not treated early enough, she may find herself wheelchair-bound or dependent on home health aids, an extremely expensive cost simply due to the fact that the current path to diagnosis takes so long, and there's no way to predict the rate of disease progression. This debilitating and expensive disease affects 2% of adults worldwide and 3.5 million people in the US. Of these 3.5 million, 90% go undiagnosed. Due to the lengthy path to diagnosis and definitive treatment, many of those that do get diagnosed still go on to develop deficits that lead to falls and require the assistance of a home health aide or nursing care. Ultimately, this ends up costing the healthcare system more than $3.5 billion. So back to Cindy. Her primary care provider refers her for an MRI, which is read by a radiologist. After seeing the MRI, she's referred to a neurologist who diagnoses her with CM. Her neurologist doesn't know how quickly Cindy's disease will progress, so she's referred to physical therapy. She does physical therapy for a couple months, but her symptoms continue to progress, so she's referred for further symptom management, which may include steroid injections or a cervical collar brace to limit cord compression. Her symptoms still progress further, so she gets a surgical consult and follow-on surgery, finally halting the progression of her symptoms. This entire process takes an average of 18 months and adds over $525,000 of healthcare costs over her lifetime. So by this point, Cindy's symptoms irreversibly progressed, and she found herself reliant on a home health aide who assists her with basic activities of daily living. After interviewing dozens of surgeons, we kept getting told the same thing. And one surgeon summarized the problem very succinctly. Yeah, spinal surgery stops progression, but patients arrive at my door late. Surely we can do better than this. Our solution will save valuable time for patients like Cindy. When Cindy gets her MRI, it is then immediately read by our algorithm, which assigns a diagnosis, determines her risk profile, and directly recommends her for a surgical consultation or conservative treatment, which is then confirmed by a radiologist. Cindy's disease can be addressed right at the outset, preventing 15 months of disease progression that lead to irreversible neurological damage, thereby avoiding the exorbitant and unnecessary healthcare costs and ensuring a vastly improved quality of life. With SpineSight, Cindy would still be able to take care of herself, her 3 children, and maintain her active lifestyle, an immensely better outcome than what the current care chain provides.
Our solution generates value by streamlining the treatment workflow. There are 4 major limitations that we've identified in cervical myelopathy care management that our platform is uniquely designed to address. First, patients see 7+ providers over the course of 18 months before they ever come to a surgical consult, oftentimes with symptoms getting worse during this time. So by providing early patient screening and progression prediction, we ensure that patients find the right providers without any delay. Second, surgeons want quantitative metrics, but very few exist for cervical myelopathy. And this is because annotating MRI images is a very time-intensive task and thus not performed in the status quo. Our platform automates the generation of 140+ novel clinically relevant data points per MRI scan that help clinicians better understand disease progression. Third, 8 out of 10 surgical candidates are improperly referred to surgery for cervical myelopathy, wasting valuable time and resources for clinicians and patients. So by providing personalized treatment recommendations, we can identify the best surgical candidates and ensure that those who do get referred will actually benefit from the intervention. And finally, patients in hospitals face vast avoidable costs, including hospitalizations, home care, and multiple surgeries in the status quo. So by using SpineSight, healthcare systems can save on average $525,000 per patient through streamlined care management that prevents these downstream healthcare costs.
We are creating a system that gives clinicians the information they need to better manage cervical myelopathy patients. First, we start with patients' cervical spine MRIs and use machine learning to label the relevant parts of their anatomy. Then we use machine learning and a unique cervical myelopathy clinical outcome dataset to generate patient-specific reports and provide longitudinal clinical insights, including the risk for disease progression. This pipeline will enable faster diagnosis, identification of the best surgical candidates, and provide novel metrics and risk scores for clinical decision-making. We've made significant technical progress towards building the system in just 4 months. We've already developed initial deep learning models that can annotate the spine and identify vertebral levels with high accuracy, allowing us to generate disc-level metrics in a matter of seconds, way faster than any human can. And based on over 20 clinical interviews, radiologists and neurosurgeons both agree that this tool will improve treatment workflow efficiency and standardize image interpretation.
Now that we've explained a bit about our proposed solution, let's discuss the broader market opportunity that's available. We've identified a total addressable market of $895 million by estimating the annual recurring revenue that can be generated by different health system customers. Our service addressable market is around $315 million when we focus on health systems with a neurology or neurosurgery center that specifically assesses for spinal cord disease. And finally, assuming a midterm market penetrance of 20%, we identify a service obtainable market of $63 million. But remember, we plan to demonstrate a proof of concept within the cervical myelopathy space. Once we gain validation for our platform's usage, we have all the infrastructure necessary to expand into adjacent markets, which are sized at $300 million for screening MRIs, $1.5 billion for acute spinal cord injury, and over $9 billion for the broader lower back pain market. And while there are some other players in the market that look to analyze MRI images, all the existing solutions only provide landmark identification on these scans and lack a clinical focus. SpineSight takes patient care 3 steps further, providing longitudinal analysis and risk tracking over time, novel clinical metrics to understand who will actually benefit from surgery, and cervical myelopathy-specific insights that have been curated from clinical experts to improve the overall understanding of the disease and its treatment.
And we're uniquely positioned to build that better tool. And we already have strong technical and business traction in less than 5 months of active work. And in these 5 months, we've already conducted over 40 customer discovery interviews. We've trained a deep learning model on over 50,000 clinical images that's able to identify the spinal cord with 95% accuracy. And we've graduated from 3 incubator programs, including a highly competitive venture capital fellowship, a health innovation program here at Sinai, as well as a nationally recognized innovation program funded by the NSF. And we've done all this with only $5,000 of funding to date. And from this point forward, we have a 3-phase development timeline. Our first phase is focused on technical development, really extending the work that we've already begun. We want to refine our models and expand it to using large-scale data sets from the Sinai Imaging Research Workhouse, which we already have access to. And we'll focus on clinical validation. And in this phase, we'll focus on retrospective and prospective studies to really demonstrate and refine our clinical correlations to show the clinical value of our tool. And once we've completed these phases, we'll have established our initial solution and we can begin our go-to-market activities. And this stage is capital intensive and really focused on team expansion and fundraising in order to meet all the needed activities, such as platform development, FDA approval, IP protection, and customer acquisition. And at this stage, we hope to pursue more significant pre-seed funding. And we're here pitching to you today for $25,000 because this funding will give us the runway to work towards building out our MVP. Our team has already accomplished a lot with minimal resources. And given our current progress, we know that with this initial funding, we will be able to accelerate our technical development and really enter clinical validation over the next 1.5 years. And critically, with your support and funding, this will really position us to capture the pre-seed funding needed for our go-to-market efforts in phase 3. We believe that we'll be able to leverage the $25,000 of funding to make progress needed to begin applying for SBIR or STTR phase 1 funding. And we're also pursuing additional funding opportunities, including the National ICOR program and I3 Genesis at Sinai. And this provides us the non-dilutive, zero equity funding needed to support all the major business activities for commercialization. Once we reach the commercialization phase, we plan to monetize our product in a 2-stage model following the precedent of similar AI-based imaging tools. We'll start with a per-scan pricing model and pivot into a licensing model once we've established our data infrastructure. We also believe that we'll be able to leverage the reimbursement models being pioneered by companies like Viz.ai, and we have compelling exit opportunities such as licensing or outright acquisition by leveraging our clinical advisors' pre-existing industry connections.
25 seconds.
Our team is uniquely positioned to build SpineSight. Our core team members have over 8 years of technical experience in machine learning in industry and academia. We have 10 years of leadership as former military officers and business consultants, and we're collaborating closely with clinical experts in neurosurgery and neuroradiology. We've established ourselves within the Sinai healthcare system, and we're further bolstered by our relationships with external players, making us really uniquely positioned to develop a platform that integrates into clinical workflows. We're SpineSight, and with your support today, we can begin delivering spinal insights in seconds.
Thank you everyone for attending today. The winners will be announced next week via our social media and newsletter. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me to this email address, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.